see white lies dancing between the lines. She's an atheist. Carousels in her mind, spinning all in her eyes. She's an atheist.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Freethought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LPFM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Today is Sunday, May 9th, and I'm Larry Rhodes, or Doubter 5. And as usual, we have our co-host, Wombat, on the line with us. Hello, Wombat.
Awooga.
Is that an old car? Awooga. And our guests today are George, Brooklyn, and Dread Pirate Higgs. Welcome all. Digital Freethought Radio Hour is a talk radio show about atheism, free thought, rational thought, humanism, and the sciences. And conversely, we'll also talk about religion, religious faiths, gods, holy books, and superstition. Wombat, what are we talking about today?
Today we're holding the question, are atheists accountable? Because we've heard we've heard a lot of times that they aren't. But listen, last week's episode, we had like almost 9 people coming onto the show, which means it's like we don't really get a chance to really voice out stuff because it's a lot of people talking. But now we got like a nice solid 4-pack. I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
So I want to start today's show off with an invocation and then getting to know everybody. So before we get into it, I'll throw it up to our own Dread Pirate Higgs for our weekly invocation.
Monster, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the noodle to know the difference.
Ramen. You gotta have a good noodle. That's what the gist is at the end of the day.
Yep.
I want to go around, see how everybody's doing. First and most, birthday boy over here with the new haircut. Larry, you're looking good. How are you doing? How you been?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I've been getting out a little bit this week since it was my birthday week. Got a haircut, went shopping, did a lot of things. Actually, I spent a lot of time this week on the deck, watering stuff and cleaning it up for the summer, spring, summer, and fall, actually. And just having a good time doing it all.
Now, Larry, what do you want to be when you grow up? I think that's the real question.
A child again. And I think I will succeed. When I get into my 80s, I'm planning on being a child again.
Okay, nice. Isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. Dread Pirate Higgs, how you been? How is your quest for chaos? Just basically, the headband challenge, all the other projects you got going. I can't even speak to it. Fireman, security guard, movie star. What's going on with you?
Well, actually, I just took my drone flying license. Or
your what? Your broom flying license?
Yeah, ground school for flying drones.
I thought you said broom flying. I thought you said broom flying license, which is totally within the purview of what Dread Pirate would do. But okay.
Yeah.
Drone.
So anyway, I took my ground school for that, and I'm going to Transport Canada to write my test.
Nice.
And then I can fly these super cool drones, and that'll help me in my security business and potentially with film and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So walk me through this. Drone flying, I thought you could just buy one and fly one. Are you telling me in Canada it's a license?
It's all since 2019. It's all been licensed through Transport Canada.
No
So
way.
you can actually, if you're caught flying a drone without a license, you can get $1,000 fine.
No way. Now I have to look at the licenses in Tennessee because it's only coming for us one day. It sounds like
one day it will. Yeah.
One day it's like, we can make money out of this.
It's a source of revenue.
Buffalo, what do you got? Government, what's going on here?
Can you fly any size drone?
Okay, that's a good question. So between 250 grams and 25 kilograms.
That's literally every drone. 250 grams, it's so little.
There are drones out there they are designed on purpose to be 249 grams. So it's just under the wire, but they figure that is small enough not to be a serious risk to aircraft. So
what are the linear directions of a 300 drone?
How far can you go out? What's the range?
The area.
So the one I'm looking at purchasing, which is about $5,000, has a 31-minute 31 battery life for 31 minutes, and can go up to 10 kilometers radius.
Wow.
I guess what I was asking is the linear directions, the dimensions of the drone. How big?
How big?
4x4?
A drone is about that big,
Including the propellers?
Yeah. I've seen ones that are 4 feet by 4 feet.
Yeah.
So that you cannot fly.
Sure.
Like I say, it has to be under 25 kilograms. So I can fly anything of any size up to and including 25 kilograms. And
So
that's
here's my
including
thing.
payload.
Sure. If I can stand on the drone while it's flying, give me a license. Like I have to get a license for that. Otherwise, free air, baby. You own the ground. Let us have the heavens. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna throw it up to Buffalo. Buffalo, we're talking today. Just seeing how everyone's doing. How you been since last week? What's going on with you?
I've been fine, thank you. Fine.
Nice. Happy Mother's Day. I know you have your daughter's christened, so like happy birthday to her. Happy Mother's Day to her through you. It's good to have you on the show. What's something you're looking forward to next week? What's something you're looking forward to? You got a vibe like you're looking forward to something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting last things ready for a family get-together in a cottage by the lake.
Oh,
there will be about a dozen of us, and my daughter's coming from Utah with her son. So we should have a nice time, I hope.
Nice.
Some boating, some fishing, some swimming, if the weather's good enough.
Nice.
And final plans to put that together.
And it is nice to be, I'm not saying post-COVID, because obviously a lot of people are stressing out, but it's nice to be on the acceleration curve of it and starting hearing stories of people being out with each other and not immediately thinking, wait, are you crazy? So it's great to have that.
Very nice. And
Brooklyn,
everybody will be vaccinated up to the younger than 16.
Nice. Very, very cool. Oh. By the way, if you're listening to this now, at least in Tennessee, and Larry, you feel free to support me on this, but governor said as of May, anyone 16 or up can get vaccinated. There's no more age barrier. Just show up, get the shots. See you later. Yeah,
I hadn't heard myself, but I certainly believe it.
Yeah.
Well, in Canada, of course, I did finally get my appointment, so I'm going on the 11th on Tuesday.
Nice.
But I'm 57, and so we've got a long way to go before we get down to 16 and above.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm getting to the point where I'm beginning to see very, very, very short lines in the COVID vaccination booth in my town, and it's a small town, so it's making me at least hopeful that, at least it's only the anti-vaxxers who are at risk, which is what we will get to the accountability point. You'll understand why I'm saying that later on. But Brooklyn George, Buffalo, what's up?
Can I just say that I think I've said frequently, I've been volunteering at our vaccination center, one of our mega vaccination centers, that was processing about 4,000 shots a day up until last week, and now it's down to 700.
Yeah.
So ours is really taken a downturn.
Same here.
We see more young people, parents with their children coming in, young adults, not 16-year-olds yet, but it's definitely moving in that direction. So they're going to close down our mega center, and I'll be put out of a job. But that's good.
It's a good thing, yeah. And they may just do walk-ins from here on out. Buffalo. I'm sorry, Brooklyn George Brown. Can you hear me? How
yes,
you been? How have you been? Oh no!
I'm just returned back to you after my cable connection just my cable connection just died.
Oh, it's dead.
So
it's so dead. It's still dying.
Boy, you didn't see me here for a few minutes.
Okay, you're doing so good. I just want to encourage you. George Brown, you
my
may need
main
to come right back in.
computer has died.
Guys,
it's not funny. It's just your voice is slowed down so slow.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's fine.
Or you'll want to disconnect from the call and come
This
right
is this is the last computer I have.
turn off your video or something. You got to
Yeah.
get a bandwidth issue fixed.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, that leads right into my topic today, because I was saying bad things do happen to good people, and we don't have anyone to blame as atheists, because we are ultimately just responsible, or at least we have the purview that we can't blame anything
We can
supernatural.
blame other people.
We can definitely blame other people, and we do a lot of finger pointing. Now, I won't even say that. But there's no the finger pointing stops at a 90-degree angle. It doesn't go like this. Right? It's like, this is your fault. It's like,
Well
no,
put.
it always goes here, right?
Yeah, you can say that about believers too. They never point up and place blame.
Oh, now here's that question. I do feel like there have been a lot of instances where people say, like, I guess God's really testing me right now, or there must be a reason like this, like a bunch of bad things happen. It's like, well, God always opens up a window when he closes the door. I'm like,
Yeah.
it still feels like you have the hopeful pointing at God at that same point.
Yeah. Any excuse.
So I am going to say this too. Are atheists accountable? And the way how I see it is, when bad things happen to me, I'm willing to blame myself for my part in it. And if, someone else does me wrong, I can blame them. And if I do something wrong to somebody, I will go through out of my way to say, hey, I was accountable for this injury or personality or emotion or whatever, and go address them. I have a quick story to put this into context. There are a bunch of roofers fixing our apartments in my place. They have a bunch of nails they threw out on the carpet, on the lawn. And I'm like, kids play in that lawn. I don't want a bunch of nails there. Let me go to my job. I'm going to borrow a big magnet, the main magnet that we have. I'll put it on like some fishing string and just roll it across the lawn, pick up all the nails and do a nice little service. No one needs to thank me or anything like that. I'll do it real quick. Go to work, get the big neodymium magnet that we got, come back home, put it on fish string, pull it across the yard, pick up so many nails, even like magnetic rocks. It was great. Go back in my car, clean it all off. Everything's good. Can't buy anything the next day. All my credit cards have been wiped.
Oh, no.
And here's the thing. You don't realize how much you depend. You don't realize how much you're just a caveman in a box until the lights go out. You ever heard that before?
Yeah.
I went from being, hey, I'm a doctor, I'm doing a good job, I got payments too. I got $7 in my wallet and that's it. I can't go to the ATM. I only have like 2 gallons of gas in my car. I need help to get new cards. I don't know how to get money. I have no access to money. I have no access to money.
At least you had your internet when you went home.
Yeah. I had to have a friend come to my home to pick me up to go to exchange and get a new card, and I just got my new card today. But that was
prepare for the next bad thing, and that is when you find out they use some aluminum nails.
Oh yeah. Very true. So bad thing happened when I try to do a good thing, and a lot of people say karma is like the balancing of forces. I'm not confident of that. I do believe bad things happen to good people. Bad things are the rewards for sometimes good actions, but you're accountable for it. And I'm fine with the idea of the actions that I took made me responsible for the unforeseen consequence. But with that mindset, I'm also saying I'm also responsible for the good things in my life too. So those stories aside, Dread Pirate, what do you got? Oh no, he's on mute. Oh no, can't hear him.
Yeah, sorry. I just got a text from someone that was watching the live stream, and said that your guys' voices are really, really loud. As compared to, so if you can turn down the master, maybe, or
sure, or that guy can just turn down the volume knob just like 2 degrees. But yeah, we're good.
Turn mine down. Hope that's better.
Sweet. Dread, now you're on the hot spot. What are your thoughts? Have bad things happened to you from good actions? Have you done anything that made you feel like you're accountable for your actions?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how anyone could think that by virtue of being an atheist, you are excusing yourself of accountability. I just don't understand. I've had people say, well, you don't see many atheists in foxholes and that kind of thing. And it's like, I don't even understand where that rationale emerges from. It just seems absolutely ridiculous, but that's me.
Well, I can tell you where the rationale comes from. Used to being a Christian, as I say, anybody who faces death are going to call on God. So if you call on God, you're not an atheist. So that's where it comes from. But having been in the military, I can tell you there are quite a few in there. Matter of fact, there are whole monuments to atheists in foxholes out there. There are organizations. If you want to find some atheists in foxholes, just do a search for them. Atheists face death all the time, and they have for centuries, millennia. I'd like to address your subject though today. Sure. Who are we accountable to? Like you said, first and foremost, we're accountable to ourselves. We have to live with the consequences of what we do. We can't go to our invisible friend and ask for forgiveness and then just start again like nothing happened. Some believers feel like they can. Matter of fact, confession is all about that. We are responsible to ourselves, our family, our society, and by extension to the world. We're responsible to the law enforcement of our society. I mean, we do something really bad and they catch us doing it, we're going to spend a lot of time off the street, as it were. And if we wanted to sin, we could just stay in the religion and ask for forgiveness, and like so many of them do. So we are, I would say, more accountable than a believer or someone who thinks they can just be forgiven by a God or whatever.
It's very true. It's very true. Absolutely. Buffalo, you got any thoughts to share on that?
No, I agree with everything that's been said. And the thing that instantly comes to mind to me is the word mercy. You know, the word mercy to me is the key to being religious or not. You know, I don't think there's any mercy in this world. I think this world is merciless, and I think it's because of our biological.
Well, you're talking about nature, though, aren't you? I mean, there are people that are merciful.
Well, people are, but I'm not so sure it has the same connotation as the way in which it's used in a religious context.
Yeah, I feel like mercy in a religious context is sort of like absolution, like don't worry about these anymore, it's taken off the record. Whereas we still live in a world where a consequence from 200 years ago could still affect us today and how we treat each other. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Especially when you're talking about absolution by throwing your blame on someone else.
Yeah.
Nobody can take responsibility for your wrongdoings. They might pay your bills, but they can't take responsibility for something that you did to someone else. Like
now, hold on,
Jesus
I take offense to that.
To.
I take offense at that because I put on my Christian hat, and it's like that's the whole reason Jesus died. Jesus died for our sins.
It's a heinous belief that someone else can take responsibility for your wrongdoings, for your sins. Yeah.
Are you saying he died for nothing? How dare you?
I'm saying that's not that's if it was valid, it's not moral. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to get in the habit where we do human sacrifices for other people's benefit. Like people should never be used as a means to an end.
Or animals.
Oh, or animals. I know, but bacon's delicious. God, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but they don't die for sin. That's what I'm saying. They are not sacrificed for the sin of the person. And
sure.
A lot of cultures they are.
Sure.
Just for nutrition.
Right.
For oh yeah,
for
but
survival,
like for deliciousness too. Yeah, for survival. I'll give you that. There's better. I know the vegans are going crazy right now. George Brown, let's check back in on you. How you doing? George Brown, are you there? Oh no. Still lagging? Okay. Yeah, still looks a little laggy a little bit. But it's good to see your face. So here's my wrench in the system. So the complaint that I
don't know yet. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Okay. Sorry, we still can't get you.
Yeah, you can probably keep the audio. Keep the audio and get rid of the video.
Turn off the video when you get it. Turn off the video, and then we can try from there, and we'll give it a couple of minutes.
You just turned off your audio. There you go. Leave your audio on.
Turn off your video. Guys, this is great. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The universe is a merciless place.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here's my thing. The original complaint that I heard this in was in a Discord chat where there was a Christian in the room who was basically talking about the tenets of objective morality. And so he says, I'm accountable to this objective list of right and wrong that was established by a higher power that has ultimate good, all that stuff, all that jazz. And so I know who I'm accountable to. I know for what I'm accountable to, and I know the punishment and the benefits or promises if I hold myself to this code. It is an absolute code. It's a perfect code, and it's not open to the subjectivity of human minds. You know, it's not like, well, you can do this on certain days. You can get vaccinated at these ages. Like, no, this code is the perfect code.
Then don't speak it.
And what? And what?
And don't speak it then.
And don't speak it. Yeah. And so as long as I follow this objective code, I know who I'm accountable to, and it's this God. And as long as I do that, it's good. But this idea that I'm accountable to anybody else is a very subjective, you know, promise, because different people have different wants and needs. How do I live in a world that's so subjective? Sometimes I can kill babies, sometimes I can't kill babies. That seems like a worldview that Christian didn't want to be in. Larry, what do you think?
Well, first of all, you say that if I do the things that God tells me to do, I'll be okay. But how does God tell you? He doesn't show up and talk to you. And if you go to religions, there are thousands of religions and thousands of holy books. The Bible is just one. The Quran is just another one. And as far as I'm concerned, they were written by long dead preachers, not God's. Didn't take a pen in hand and write it down. Some preacher wrote it down. Whether he was inspired or not is up for question. How do we know that God put those words there for you to obey?
It's a good question. What do you mean by these are God's words? How did we determine that? What's a reliable test to know that? Brilliant question. Dread. Oh, still on mute, my friend. This time on Zoom.
Yeah, how do you differentiate between delusion and what some might consider a real God? There's those two things are indistinguishable, in my view. I mean, if like Larry was saying, how do you know a person is inspired by anything other than mental disability? Right?
Now, Dread, I'm going to say, at least from, and we're all atheists in this room, but at least from like a SE wordsmithing perspective, you want to make sure you don't compare the God belief to something that's automatically like connotated to something bad, like a mental illness or like a delusion. I'm more interested less in differentiating those two and seeing like, please promote what you're saying and prove and show me how you're right, rather than tell me why you're different from all the crazy other BS stuff that I'm listening to. Like,
okay, well, I thought that was the point I was making. Is that
go for it?
How do you tell the difference?
Yeah,
how could you possibly tell the difference?
You get the same cookie from the vending machine, whether you press A, B, or A1. And what I'm saying is, if you phrase the question in the idea of like, how's your stuff different from any other crazy stuff I'm listening to, versus how are you right? And can you give me a reliable way to figure that out? How you're right? You get the same answer, but you also avoid the minefield of, is he saying I'm delusional? Is he saying I have a mental disorder? I don't like this person as much anymore. I'm going to believe in my belief even stronger. And it's just like, what do you do? But yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's a valid question. I'm just saying wordsmithing is such a fun thing. What's up?
Sure. And I wouldn't phrase it that way to someone who had a hardcore religious belief. I mean,
right. I've done
enough SE to know that we try to be gentle and respectful and preserve the dignity of the people that we're engaging. So I just say this in present company.
Now, that is an interesting point. And I think that's a very interesting point, because Dredd, I've seen you do SE and I know you're fantastic at it. So I'm wondering, like, when we, and this is a little bit off topic, but I want to do it to Larry real quick too, but like when we do SE, are we genuinely asking the question, how are you right? Or are we just paraphrasing, tell me why you're not wrong, in a more politically correct fashion? And what I'd love for us to do as a movement, or at least as like an organization, not as an organization, but at least more people willing to try this, is SE is not a way to put a cherry on top of a, why are you BS? Or like, what's this BS? Why are you crazy?
You're not sugarcoating a question.
It's not about sugarcoating questions. It's about genuinely asking about methodologies. And if they give you a good rationale for that, that should be the case.
Right.
Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, it's about examining the beliefs themselves, the methods at which they reach those beliefs. So
Exactly.
all the questions should be about the method itself, not necessarily the belief.
Oh, Larry, perfect. Oh, you took the words right out of my face. You reached in my face, and you're like, "Get over here!" And you count them out.
One of the things that always gets me is how many times I'd be talking to a religious person, or particularly a preacher, and they'll say, "Well, God told me that blah blah blah," and first of all, my very first question is, "Did you literally hear His voice?" And sometimes they'll say, "Yeah." But how do you know it's God's voice when you hear it? When you hear it, even according to the Bible, there are many other entities that could speak to you in such a way. It could be the voice of Satan, or an angel, or a demon, or anything. When you give entities magical powers of telepathy, how do you know that the voice that shows up in your head is God's?
Yeah. Once you introduce a Satan figure, how do you know anything's true? Like a grand deceiver, how do you know any of it's true? George.
Absolutely.
Third time's a charm. Keep your video off. Let's go. George, can you hear us? Oh, man.
Are you muted?
There he is.
Buffalo, I want to ask you a question. We're both scientists. We both love, data that can at least be, universally applied, right? Like, it doesn't have to be objectively true, but if it could be close enough and useful, we can at least make a useful model out of it. The idea that Satan exists as a character in the Bible, or at least in Christian lore, as a grand deceiver, someone who's capable of deceiving any person, like that has a mortal frame or whatever, that just makes me feel like no model of truth that's presented in the Bible could be taken at face value, because it could obviously be the Satan trying to deceive me. And that means if I don't have the Bible and I'm just feeling inspired, I feel like that could literally just be the devil trying to inspire me. Like, is there a useful metric in a worldview where you can literally be deceived at any point? I feel like there isn't, but maybe you have a different perspective.
Oh, I don't know. What are our minds capable of? Hitler eventually reached that point, but that's because he was mentally ill. So I think mental illness, certain failure of circuitry between the ears can lead to that. But I don't think that many people, well, some people are born with it, I guess. But again, from a biological perspective, I think a disease is a disease, and it can go to the point of death, and it can stick around and be vicious.
Yeah, essentially, the Bible is basically saying it's sick. So that means like every character could potentially be just a symptom of a sick person. What's up, Larry?
Oh, it's just bottom of the hour. We need to take a break.
Good point.
This is the Digital Freethought Radio Hour on WOZO Radio 103.9 LPFM right here in Knoxville. And we'll be right back after this short break.
To the curious, the inquisitive, the seekers of knowledge, to the ones who just want to know about life, about the universe, about yourself. Not cute questions, big questions, ones that matter. To the rebels, the artists, the free thinkers, and the innovators who care less about labels and more about truth, who believe nonconformity is more than a bumper sticker, that knowledge is more than words on a page. You're young, you're old, you're powerful beyond measure, and the fuel of that power is not magic or mysticism, but knowledge. The things you see, the things you feel, the things you know to be true. Sure, some will doubt you. Let them. Dare to think for yourself, to look for yourself, to make up your own mind. Because in the eternal debate for answers, the one thing that's true is the power of logic.
Welcome back to the second half of the Digital Freethought Radio Hour. I'm Dr. 5, and we're on WOZO Radio 103.9 LPFM right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is Sunday, May 9th, 2021. Let's talk about the Atheist Society of Knoxville. Founded in 2002, we're in our 19th year. ASK now has over 1,000 members, and we have weekly meetings starting this Tuesday down at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Knoxville's Old City, out on the patio. We also have Zoom meetings to go along with that for people who can't make it into town. If you you can find us online on Facebook, Meetup, KnoxvilleAtheist.org, or just Google Knoxville Atheist. It's just that simple. Also, you can find Rationalists of East Tennessee at rationalist.org. By the way, if you don't live in Knoxville, you should still go to the meetup and search for an atheist group in your town. Don't find one? Start one. Right. Where do you want to pick up there, Wombat?
Hey, let's talk about the devil. Buffalo, you got some devil on your mind.
Yeah, so I've been reading a little bit on the internet about the Satanic Temple, and they are really doing what all of is being discussed here. But so they're trying to have a no, I can't say they want to have a religion. They want to have a voice like the religions do, without having the basic creed and the same rules and all of the rituals and so forth. But they want to do community good, and they're attacking questions of right and wrong to the point of going to the Supreme Court. So, but my curiosity, and I can't find this anywhere, is why did they call themselves that? And it gets to my own problem that I have, and that is, how should I go out and make my my feelings known about a religion without antagonizing people and shutting down the whole discussion, putting up a brick wall, so to speak. And it would almost appear that that's what they've done. They used the word satanic. And I'm just wondering if anybody's got a feeling for why they did it this way. Why would you start a discussion about religion, atheism, using the word satanic?
Larry.
Well, theoretically, I mean, according to Christianity, and please, listeners, correct me if I'm wrong, he represents the loyal opposition to God and his message and his rule. And so they took up the banner basically to be in opposition of that. However, I am with you. I don't think that we should show that we're buying into the panoply of entities that they have in their religion by naming an organization after one. I don't think it's a good idea, but people disagree with me on that. So
yeah, I think it's counterproductive is what it is.
Dredd, I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what the Pastafarian movement is about. We're just taking up a different kind of stand in opposition to religious or institutionalized religious privilege.
Right, but you're not picking a character from their
that's kind of the point
exactly.
too.
Religion. Yeah,
exactly. So an important thing, and of course this was where the judge went in his Supreme Court decision against my petition, was that by virtue of some Pastafarians mocking and satirizing religion, that somehow we are disrupting the peace of the country and putting people down or robbing them of their dignity and all the rest of it, when in fact that is just not the case. And of course, that would be harder to argue if I declared myself a member of the Satanic Temple. Right. Just by virtue of it is literally taking up the mythology of the Christian faith and using it as a platform to take their message out. Not that I don't disagree with their message, it's just the way it's wrapped, the way it's clothed.
Sure.
Are you saying that we shouldn't ridicule them, or are you just
Satanic
saying,
Temple?
No, Christianity or any other religion?
Well, I mean, ridicule is different than challenging a belief, right?
I agree.
I mean, all beliefs are up for challenge, and the ideas, again, and we talked about this in SE. So Ted just made a point that SE, when it's spoken together, sometimes sounds like SC. And so we just have to make sure that we're saying like street epistemology.
Or Socratic examination.
Or Socratic examination, because it gets lost when we speak that way. But I think that street epistemology and the methods that we use doing it is the best way to undertake those kinds of conversations.
And the only...
Buffalo, I just wanted to round out the idea of like why they do it. It's sort of the point to be what is the right word? Provocative with that term, because it draws attention to an idea that there is a lot of religious privilege given to Christians. And so if that's the case, then we will use a character from your book and have a seemingly unilateral discussion on religion, but Christianity doesn't offer Satanists the same platform they do for the more mainstream Christians. And it seems to draw a light on the idea of, well, you won't, it's like, if you agree that these religions are equal, but yet even when we use characters from your book, you're saying, yeah, you're not the same. You don't get to have as many governors. You don't have to have as many senators. You can't start court proceedings. You can't start council meetings on budget for the cities. Everything starts with a prayer, but it doesn't do satanic prayers. Like, clearly there's a preference that is not being unilaterally distributed. Now you can go with the Pacifarian route and say, hey, we have this new god that we came up with. It's literally a plate of soup or noodles. Sorry for blasphemy. It's noodles. And people will look at that and be like, ha ha ha, you're making fun of us. We're going to contextualize it as you're basically taking Christianity and making parody. It was like, no, this is our completely separate religion. Please give us a platform as well. They're like, no. And you can say, hey, I'm from the Middle East and I have a completely different God. It's like, yeah, we don't do that too, but we can respect you enough so that you can wear your turbans and driver's license. Right. What Satanists are saying is like, we have your Bible, we are using your book, and we are pulling quotes from your book, and we are taking these figures from your book and just worshiping these figures instead. Where's our piece of the pie? It's like, no, you're not real.
I wonder which approach is more effective.
I like the multifaceted approach. I like that there are tiers of hardcore rock, and you can do soft rock, and that there's alternative rock. I think it needs all those voices to make sense. Dred, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say that the mission here of the Satanic Temple, I'll read it out. The mission of the Satanic Temple is to encourage benevolence and empathy, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense, oppose injustice, and undertake noble pursuits.
Yeah.
That's their mission.
And we've had Satanists on the show, and they've been super chill. And for the most part, I feel like the name is there to set up an expectation. And when you actually talk with one, it's like, oh, okay, this is not what the Christians are telling me you are. And so here's the catch, George. Regardless of whatever it was they called themselves, Christians would take offense at it if it wasn't Christianity. So it doesn't matter if it was Pacifarianism or Satanism or screw you, Jesus, you look silly on that T-shaped piece of wood. Like, they're gonna take offense at it either way. You take offense at the word atheist. Like, it is what it is. Larry.
Yeah, no, my problem with it is most Christians, when they hear of the Satanic Temple, that's all they know at that point is the name. Yep. And they just take it and run, and you can't blame them for running to thinking that we believe in Satan, to worship Satan and follow Satan. I mean, that to me is what it's telling the normal person on the street, the normal Christian on the street that doesn't know anything about it, who just heard about it. And I think that is not a good message, no matter what they say their goal is, or their mission statement. I think the mission statement is great. I think it's worthy. I think it needs a better name. It just me.
Larry, I'll throw this out at you. If the same can be said to atheists or Christians' appreciation of the word atheist, because they'll hear that and they'll think, here's a person that probably worships Satan or hates God
babies
and eats babies.
That is not part of the name. The name,
I know
if they look it up, just the word atheist, it'll just say doesn't believe in God.
And Larry, I'm not treating you. I'm with you on that. We're on the same side of the street, holding the same sign.
I have to verbally defend answer your question.
Yeah, but that is the Christian perspective, is what I'm saying. Like that.
I understand.
What I like, I think, to avoid all of this is just to call myself a concluder. I'm not a believer. I'm a concluder.
You just came up with a new name that is just waiting for more baggage to be put on top of it. Sure.
Yeah, I know that.
It's neutral. Yeah.
It's just a new thing that people are going to take. It's like, what's up, George? Can you hear me? Can we hear you?
I just want to know if you can hear me.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay,
George.
So I'm seeing you guys on my screen. You can see me on your screen, and I'm talking to you on the telephone.
Yeah,
he's got a flip phone, guys.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's a flip-flop.
They're talking about ridicule too. So anyway,
So 2001.
yeah,
That's good. It's a good year.
Yeah.
It's a good year. I'm going to throw this out as well. If there was a Satanist that worshiped Satan, but in the mindset that they're doing it in is, well, the God that's in this book, the one that calls himself God, the one that drowns babies, the one that kills all humanity, that makes rainbows to make up for it, the one who does human sacrifices for his own progeny to immorally shift the blame so that most people don't have to do that, and who's had more people die in the name of the Son than any other figure in humanity. Like, that's probably not the best guy. And the person who's anti that guy is the person I would rather follow. And I throw this out as point. A lot, and Matt Delhunty says this a lot in his shows, but like, how do you know if you're reading the Bible, God's the good one and the devil's the bad one?
Right.
It seems almost in every single instance, it's the devil that's telling the truth, that's trying to be honest with people, that's showing examples of, hey, this guy is evil. I'm going to present it in the fact by going to heaven and actually setting up a bet with this guy who says he's good and start hurting people, and he hurts people.
Right.
I just suggest it, and he's the one who's hurting Job. He's the one and he makes a new family to be like, I killed your family, but here's a new group of strangers, and they're your new family now. It's bizarre.
Yeah. And I was going to say the book of Job is a perfect instance of where, essentially God and Satan are just playing with people as a toy, really pulling the wings off flies.
But it's actually God doing
it. Horrible.
It's God the one doing it, because if the devil didn't want to do it, or if the devil wanted it and God didn't want it, it wouldn't happen. But if God wanted it, it's going to happen. So it's God the one that's pulling the wings off.
Yeah.
And it's the devil being like, I hope you're seeing this. I hope you're seeing that this is a thing that's going on.
Right.
Are you sure this is the one you want to worship? Doesn't it look like I'm the guy that's trying to be honest with you? I know, listen, we've had Christians on the show. Sorry, Larry. We had Christians on the show who brought up the book of Job as like one of the best books to prove their God was a really benevolent God, and it blew my mind. And we've talked about that before, but I'm saying different people interpret it different ways. But I could see a Satanist reading the Bible and being like, clearly this is the better character, and it's just told out of context as if God was. I'm worshiping this guy, and I can see there's no harm from that point of view if someone wants to worship at that point.
Yeah. If you've got a couple hours to talk to a Satanist and have him explain that to you, but the name itself doesn't do that. One thing I'd like to mention about Job is that, whenever you talk to a Christian, a lot of times I would just say, yeah, but he gave him all that stuff back. He killed his family and his herds and his crops and his house and burned it, everything. But he gave him all that back. No, he didn't. He gave him a new family, a new house, new crops, and new animals. So what is it okay if God just kills your family and gives you a new one, after testing you? And by the way, wouldn't an omniscient God know the outcome of the test before he performed it?
Absolutely.
And wouldn't
Larry,
he be able to show that to a demon or to the devil?
I want to throw this out just real quick. I'm sorry. We say Satan shouldn't call themselves Satanists, but why do we allow Christians to call themselves Christians as a free pass? Isn't that an expression of,
no, because it's part of their beliefs.
Christ can borrow. You're saying Christ can just borrow people's sins? Like, that seems objectively immoral. You're saying you like human sacrifices? You like torture, like for 3 days? Like, that's terrible. Why would anyone want that? Like, that appalls me on a fundamental level. But yet we give that the free pass because they're the people in charge.
Well,
I feel like
the thing about it is Christians believe in Christ. Satanists don't believe in Satan.
Some do. Some do. There's Lavellian Satanists, and there's actual,
there's the church of the Church of Satan, and then there's the Satanic Temple, and those two entities are different.
Okay,
and they're both called Satanists.
The former is
which ones believe in Satan?
What's his name? The
Lavellian.
Church. Yeah, the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
Okay,
but it's all Satanism. Like, it's generally all this. It's the same umbrella term. So like, it's all good. What's up, Dred?
Well, I just had a question from Ted here. He says, because we were talking about alternate names for atheists, and and George said concluder. So is there an alternate name for Christianity? Is there?
I want to say something flippant, but I don't want to say something.
Your horns were showing.
So I will say this too. There are such things as really good Christians, but it tends to be the case that the better they are, the ones that I enjoy being around with, follow to a lesser extent their own dogma. and the ones that follow their dogma very ardently are the ones I don't want to have anything with. Or to
I
deal
made
with.
a meme about that. I make
Larry,
memes
what you
about
got?
everything.
I know he makes
It
memes.
says, Christians, Muslims, and other believers are good people in an inverse relationship to how closely they follow their dogma.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
Good one.
Dogmatic thinking in general tends to do that. George Brown, I'd love to get your thoughts on the idea of Satanism. If you have an opinion on this, like, if you were to meet a Satanist, would you have any qualms or worries ahead of time? And like, what would be your expectations if we said, hey, we're going to have a Satanist on the show? What questions would you want to ask them? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, George. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Brown. George Brown.
I didn't realize you were talking to me.
I know, we got
Ask
like
me
This
again.
is your Robert De Niro impression, right?
Yeah.
You talking to me?
I'm having technical things going on here.
What questions would you ask a
okay.
Satanist if you were to meet him? What would be your expectations if you were to meet one?
First of all, I would be delighted to meet a Satanist, and I would want to know everything about that person. You know, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your beliefs or lack of them. Because I'm always interested in meeting people who are different than me. You know, and I'm like that. So
yeah,
I would be open to finding out about this person. Hey, tell me. I'm all ears. I just want to know.
In my book, the devil is just as supernatural as Jehovah or Yahweh. And if I was to if I don't want to worship anybody, but if I was going to worship one, it wouldn't be Jehovah. It would be like, you are clearly crazy. If my only other option is this other dude, all right, you're on here. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think he only asked to be worshiped once to Jesus, and Jesus said no. And he was like, that's fine. No punishment. I'm not going to send you to hell. I was here to give you water, but if you don't want it, that's good. I mean, I think you're going to be okay. And he turned out all right for the most part. So,
why should the devil define himself by how he is defined in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, or the Jewish Torah? Maybe I'm not even sure he's in there. I don't know.
Sure,
but I mean, my main issue is, what are you like? If I don't have to sign on to his belief in order to know him.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Like, he takes no for an answer, and it's no big deal. And that is a powerful statement. If you got to ask me, like, which one is the better figure, Dread Pirate.
Well, I was just going to say too that in the Old Testament, clearly it was a pantheon. It was a pantheistic or polytheistic religion, because the idea that there was angels and God and Satan. And that you shall not worship any other gods before me,
Exactly.
this kind of thing. So it was clearly it wasn't monotheistic to start with, that's for sure.
And we know historically that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So pirate, you said you want the opposite of concluder, and to me it's believer. And I, as a biologist, I think that we have propensities, a genetic propensity, which drive one toward one extreme or the other, and most of us are in the middle. And so
Daniel Kahneman is like that, right?
Yeah. So I believe in belief genes, and we don't know about them yet because we don't know about much that's in between our ears. But I would say that several generations down the road, if we don't destroy our environment first, we'll have a better idea of how those genes function.
We'll have a concluder gene.
Yeah, the concluder gene, or
right.
as opposed to the neural networks that lead to believing, and that'll describe what we already know, and that is every person is different, both on the outside and on the inside, and the same is true for what's between our ears.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it too is around this idea of agency and attributing human agency or animal agency
or intelligence
to other things that clearly don't have agency, but our perceptions are sort of geared towards interpreting in a very fast way things we don't quite understand, like the rustling of bushes. What if if you tend to think that it's always the wind and not the tiger, you're probably not going to last too long as a species.
Sure.
So, there's sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I was just saying, just to take up some of the dead space, going back to accountability, I think, yes, there's probably some facets to our genetic makeup or phenotype that dictate how easy it is for us to learn without inhibitions due to mental disorders or processes or stuff like that. Balance of sodium and potassium in our brains, blood pressure, all sorts of stuff help to dictate the capacity that we have to absorb new information. But I feel like there's such a great wealth of potential that we can't deny that is on ourselves after the fact, after we have like a body to learn, and that we are responsible for the information that we take in and for the information that we put out. And we are accountable after a certain point of the prejudices that we may carry or the biases that we have, because we always have an opportunity to learn better and to get rid of bad stuff.
Yeah, everything is nature and nurture, not just one or the other. Sure.
Right.
But I really think that there's some hard wiring in there that we don't understand.
Sure.
We try to explain it, but we don't understand it.
Sure. Dred, you want to finish that thought before we wrap up?
I lost it.
Ah!
the dog barking.
Gone and go.
Yeah, I guess.
You're talking about
somebody else
intelligence
take
and
the floor.
agency in the bushes.
Yes, agency.
Yeah.
Yes, agency.
Yeah.
So attributing agency to things that clearly don't have it. It's like I was saying about the tigers and the wind rustling the leaves or the grasses. And just a reminder that Daniel Kahneman wrote an excellent book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And is an excellent read. I believe he won a Nobel Prize for, for whatever is neurology or physiology or something like that.
I want to add to the agency thing too, because there's a really great video called Double Rainbow. And one of the funny things is it's a guy looking at two rainbows stretching across the sky. And he's like, it's a double rainbow. What does it mean? And it's just a really beautiful thing. But I can see myself, you go back, beyond internet, beyond electricity, all that stuff. And you'll see people who look at beautiful things and be like, but what does it mean? It's just like, well, it means light refracts. It's like, we don't have that information. We need a shorter, simpler, comprehensive answer. But at a certain point, you need to get rid of those shortcut answers that we came up with, like God, magic, fairies, devil, and come up with better standards for information. George Brown, what do you got?
Well, you're reminding me of Robert Crumb back in the 1970s, the cartoonist. There was always a character coming to him, to his character, his cartoon character, Mr. Natural, and the supplicant would say, "Mr. Natural, what does it all mean?" And Mr. Natural would, which I cannot repeat because this is going to be a radio broadcast. So he would say, "It don't mean." A word that begins with it.
All right. So, hey, that was the show. Thank you guys so much for everybody coming by. You can find Mind Pirate, Mind, P-Y-R-A-T-E, on YouTube. Please subscribe. He's getting close to 100.
Yeah,
Buffalo.
88 right now, Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. PST.
Perfect. Wonderful. And he's also streaming too. Buffalo George, hope you have a wonderful cottage trip. George Brown, I want to see you on that keyboard next week. Let's see you play, and I'll check out some dollar store lenses we were talking about during the break. Larry, why don't you take us out?
Okay. My own content is found at digitalfreethought.com. You can find these shows and a whole bunch of other things like atheist articles and atheist music on digitalfreethought.com. If you have questions for the show, send them to askanatheist@knoxvilleatheist.org. If you're having trouble leaving religion behind, you can find help at recoveringfromreligion.org. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. This has been Digital Freethought Radio Hour. Remember, everybody's going to somebody else's hell. The time to worry about it is when that proves that heaven and hells and souls are real. Until then, don't sweat it. Enjoy your life. And we'll talk to you next Wednesday on this radio station. Say bye, everybody.
Bye,
everybody.
Bye, everybody.